How many millionaires do you think are there in the world? Just in the United States alone, there are around 30 million people with a net worth of at least $1 million and 60 million people worldwide. It seems like becoming a millionaire is not really that difficult. But think about that number for a moment. Half of the millionaires across the globe are here in the United States. But not everything is sunshine and rainbows, because in 2022, 3.5 million people lost their status as being millionaires. These people work super hard, and now with a click of a button, the Fed literally ripped their status of being millionaires. But the interesting part about it is that it's not enough to have $1 million to be in the top 1%. Over the last few decades, the wealth gap has increased so much that $1 million is not really the kind of money that will put you in the top 1%. If you want to be in the top 1% today in the United States, you need to have at least $6 million. And let's assume that your $6 million is invested in some safe investments such as the S&P 500. So you are going to have at least a passive income of $420,000 annually. That sounds like a lot of money, but that's just $35,000 per month. Yes, that's still a lot of money, and that's the kind of money that will provide you with a luxurious life anywhere in the world, even if you're living in an expensive city such as New York or London. But if you have kids and you want to have a decent lifestyle, $35,000 is suddenly not really that much money if you are living in a place such as New York. But the main question is, how do you join the top 1%? We can't summarize everything in a single video because there's so many things to know about making money. There's so many rules of money that you have to master. But the channel has plenty of videos that will teach you about that. Now, especially when everybody is going to have his own journey of making money. However, if you just zoom out, you will find out that most of us today live pretty similar lives because of something called globalization. Especially when we live in similar cities, we use the exact same technology. I mean, people in the US are using iPhones and people in China are also using iPhones. We use the exact same apps, we dress in exact similar ways, and so on and so forth. But the most important thing is that we end up making the exact same mistakes. So if you avoid some fundamental money mistakes, you are going to be financially independent much sooner. So here are the 7 things that you should never ever waste your money on. So if you're ready, let's start with the first one. Do not invest if you feel like you will miss out the opportunity. This is by far the #1 reason why a lot of people end up never leaving the cycle of poverty. I know that in this age of internet, it seems like making money is so easy, it's so simple. The moment you turn on to your Instagram or social media, you see how young people are making so much money. Everyone is driving a Lambo, everyone has a Porsche. So the idea of making quick money today is so seductive. That's why if somebody comes out with a project that this is the crypto token that is going to make you 1,000% on your investment, or this is the stock that you should invest now or you will miss the opportunity, or this is the best real estate deal of your life. So most people end up throwing their life savings into one of these projects, but we all know how all of that ends up at the end of the day. Yes, the projects turn to be a complete failure and you will most likely lose your money. I'm not saying that you should not be investing your money. You absolutely should start investing because just keeping your money in the bank isn't going to make you rich. You have to let your money to work for you. But do not ever invest in a project or a token or a crypto or stock if you don't know what's going on, no matter how appealing, how seductive it looks like. Now, I personally have been a victim of this mistake multiple times myself, because in my investing journey, I probably made every mistake out there you can think about when it comes to investing, and I have lost so much money over the years. So I can tell you for a fact that it doesn't worth investing in anything unless you know what's going on. Yes, it might be an opportunity. Yes, you might be missing that opportunity, but it's not a big deal because there will always be another opportunity. There will be always another stock. There will always be another crypto that is going to rise. So don't think for a moment that you have to be right all the time. No, in your investing journey, you just have to be right a few times. And those few investments are going to make you most of the money. #2, never spend money without tracking your expenses. For most of my life, I used to track my expenses. It's not like I know where every penny goes, but I usually have a general understanding of how I'm spending my money. Especially at the end of each month, I would take a look at my expenses and set the budget for the next month, which is absolutely fine, and that's how I track my expenses. But as I started making a lot of money, like 5, 7, 10 times the amount of money that I used to spend, I started neglecting this habit because I knew that if I would go out of my budget a little bit, it's not really a big deal. Especially in the beginning, I would do the math in my head and I would know, okay, yes, I have overspent slightly, but what is the big deal? It's fine. But as time goes by, I started forgetting this habit and I started entirely stopping tracking my expenses at all. And I realized over the years is that, wait a second, I'm overspending not just by 2 or 3 times, I'm literally overspending by 5, 7, or 8 times. That's the moment that it hit me. I realized that this is not sustainable. Yes, I'm making a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that I should not track my expenses. So even if you're making a lot of money, you should track your expenses because it's so easy that it gets out of your hand and you start outspending on everything. And I see a lot of people making this mistake. Like most people have a 9 to 5 job, so they have this paycheck coming out at the end of each month or the beginning of each month, and they just take that paycheck and without even planning anything at all, they start spending that paycheck. And by the end of the month, they realize that they have run out of money. They haven't planned that paycheck at all. So while if you might be rich and you can afford that because you're making so much money, for most people, that's not sustainable. And that's how people often fall into the trap of credit cards. They will first take one credit card and the second and the third, and their lives will turn into just them getting their paycheck and paying the interest on their credit cards. And that's the trap that you don't fall into, because if that's your lifestyle, you will never achieve financial freedom. It's okay. Take a day, take a moment, track your expenses, allocate your budget, especially most people who are watching this video. Most of you, I assume, are not financially free. Most of you have some kind of a job. Most of you maybe have a 9 to 5 job. So tracking your expenses is probably one of the most essential things you can do to achieve financial freedom. And that takes me to the next point, paying credit card interest. Now, when I took a look at the statistics and how much an average American pays in credit card interest, I was absolutely blown away, because the average American pays around $130,000 in credit card interest over the course of his lifetime. Think about that number for a moment. You are going to spend 2 years of your entire life, especially your entire working life, just to pay the interest on your credit cards. Isn't that insane? Isn't that like the dumbest way to waste your money on? And if you count the opportunity cost on that payment, it is going to be much more than that. I mean, let's say you paid $1,000 this month on your credit card interest, or maybe the past few months. That money could be invested, and over the course of your entire life, it would have turned into thousands of dollars. So that $130,000 could easily turn into something like $500,000 over the course of your lifetime if we also count in the opportunity cost. Just think about how much money you're wasting over the course of your life. You could end up at the end of your retirement with $500,000, but instead you're choosing to just, max out your credit cards and pay the interest on them. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not really against credit cards. Credit cards have a lot of benefits and a lot of people should start using them. But if you are irresponsible, if you don't know how to control yourself, if you constantly max out your credit card and end up finding yourself in a position where you have to pay interest on your credit cards, then for God's sake, just get rid of your credit cards. That is probably the best favor you can do to yourself, because credit cards lead people to trap themselves in this position where their lives turn into just, working super hard, getting their paycheck and then closing down their credit cards for the last month because they have these 4 or 5 credit cards that they have used, that they have maxed out the previous few months. And now they cannot get out of that position because this month, yes, they have covered their credit cards for the past few months, but that paycheck is not enough to last them to the end of the month. So they will end up using those credit cards again, and they will find themselves yet again paying interest on their credit cards. So please, for God's sake, get rid of your credit cards if you don't know how to use them, if you're not very, very responsible with money. Number 4, not investing in yourself. When I started my journey to financial freedom, I tried my best to save as much money as I can, because that's how I saw myself getting to financial freedom as fast as possible. So the best investments that I made in myself were just books. The books on financial freedom, the books on self-development. These are the books that helped me a lot. And an investment in a book is what, 5, 10, 20, or maybe $30 at best. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to invest in yourself by buying a book. And that's one of the fundamental mistakes that I have made over my life. Because yes, a book is great. You can pick it up, you can read it, and you can learn everything on your own. And that is one way to go about it. But you have to understand that in life, your most important resource is your time. And as you are teaching yourself, yes, you're learning, but you're wasting so much time. By just buying a proper course of something or just paying someone to mentor you to learn something is going to save you so much time, and you're going to make that money back so fast that you will never regret that money spent. Let's say you want to start a YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and you can learn everything on your own, and you might actually succeed on YouTube. But you can go out there and spend $1,000 or $2,000 on a really good course that is going to help you to accelerate your process by years. What you will learn there, the progress that you will make over that course in 2 or 3 months is similar to the progress that will take you on your own 2 or 3 years. Yes, sometimes you can get lucky and things will explode, but pretty often that's not the case. So never hesitate to invest in yourself. Yes, the money is wasted. You can always make that money back, but you can never take your time back. If you want to learn sales, go to the best salesperson and pay him to teach you. Ask for mentorship, get their courses. If you want to learn about investing, go to the people who you know are qualified to teach you about investing, who you know are really good at this game of investing. Yes, learn from them, and that will save you so much money over the course of your life because you will avoid so many fundamental mistakes. Number 5, waste money on stuff that depreciates over time. Now, if you take a look at your spending, besides your rent and daily expenses, you'll find out that most of your money is spent on buying things that depreciate over time. And the best example that I can think of is a car. When you buy a car, in the first 3 years, your car is going to lose at least half of its value. And your car wasn't designed just to drive for 3 years. It was probably designed that it could last at least 20 years. Think about that for a moment. If all of your money is mostly spent buying things that will depreciate over time, then you have no way to becoming financially independent. Now, of course, if you're making a lot of money and you can easily afford anything, that's a different thing, especially today when we live in this never-ending consumerism where we have social media and buying a new Lambo looks so easy and looks so banal that as if everyone is doing that. But the reality is that most people have a 9-to-5 job. Most people don't make that much money, and they will never make that much money. Like if you take a look at the statistics, the average American is going to make around $1.7 million over the course of his lifetime. And that's in the United States. So if you take any other country that is poorer than the United States, that number is going to be significantly lower. So you're either going to take that money and buy things that will lose value over time, and you will certainly not become financially independent, or you will take that money and buy things that will appreciate over time, such as stocks, gold, or any other assets that actually increases in value over time. And that's how you become financially independent. Number 6, never let people know that you have money. I know that I can get criticized for saying something like this, but bragging about how much money you have is only going to hurt you. Now, if you're trying to attract attention on social media, yes, then getting a Lambo or something like that is actually going to help you to attract attention. But overall, if you brag about how much money you have, it is going to hurt you. And that's why if you look at the world's richest people, you'll always find them that they're actually hiding their wealth. They don't want you to know how much money they have. They kind of keep their money in some kind of trust across the globe in such a way that you cannot find out how much truly wealth they have, because you can get sued for little thing that you do. And if people don't know how much money you have, and if people think that you are poor, they will never sue you because it's pointless. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money because you might end up not having that much money in the first place. So keeping this ambiguity about how much money you have is only going to help you. And that's why take a look at any rich people. Yes, of course, some people, such as Donald Trump, for example, he's bragging about how much money he has. But the vast majority of truly rich people just keep their wealth quiet. They don't want anyone to know how much money they truly have. They might have like billions of dollars in some kind of offshore account out there. You might not be that rich that you're trying to hide billions of dollars in some kind of offshore account. But even the little money that you have, if people around you know that you have that much money, you will be the first person in their list who they will come to take a loan from if they will be in a trouble. And people always, for some reason, need money. They always need to borrow money from someone. And that's why we have so much credit card debt. And some people are no longer eligible for more credit cards, so they just can come to you because you are the friend, you are the relative, you are the family. And that takes me to the last point, which is never loan money to friends and family. This might sound controversial, but in most cases, when I loan money to friends and family, it always ends up badly. Now, first of all, your friends and family in most cases are never going to pay you back because they'll just keep dragging it because they believe in you because you have this kind of friendship. So what will end up happening is that you'll just keep chasing them to pay you back. I mean, come on, you helped them, you loaned them the money they needed, and now you have to chase them to take your money back. And some people have the audacity to kind of get mad at you for reminding them to pay you back. So, which is why every time when I loan money to friends and family, I make sure that I don't really need that money. So if that friend, if that family member will never pay me back, it's absolutely fine because I never counted on the fact that they will pay me back. So it's better to have the power to say no in the beginning than run into all of these problems later on. So if you want to help a friend or a family out of the goodness of your heart, then yes, for God's sake, loan them the money, but forget about it. Now, the best thing that you can do with yourself is to learn to buy things that will rise in value, especially when we talk about the stocks. Because when it comes to real estate is extremely expensive. Bonds on the other side don't really pay that much. So your best option today is either to go into stocks or crypto. But crypto is still very volatile and there is not really much that you can invest in crypto. So the best option that you have right now is to go into stocks. So if you want to learn how the stock market works, if you want to learn everything from the beginning to the end about the stock market, I have made a course for free, which link I will leave in the description that will teach you everything you need to know about the stock market.